And we are live with another episode of BS Busters. And it's been an interesting week.
Yeah, it really is.
So I guess before we get into the main concept of what went down, I guess we'll go through the basic news of the week. The first one is I guess the big news of the week. You can't really, because big news will be different for different people. I guess we'll start with EA shuttering Visceral Games.
AKA, AKA another one bites the dust, dude.
Yeah, another one bites the dust.
Sorry to hear that we lose another company to like. Then again, EA's in its own worst troubles, I think.
And this is the studio that gave us Dead Space, right?
Yeah, and they made some other stuff too, but.
So I guess that means either Dead Space is dead, or they're gonna move, or they're gonna have a different develop studios create a new Dead Space game. If there is going to be one.
No, there's not going to be another. Let's just get this off the case. The reason this studio was shuttered is because the last game they made, Battlefield Hardline, AKA Battlefield Cops and Robbers, did not make enough money. It had a budget of like $66 million, and it did not make enough money. It probably broke even because I think it sold okay, but as far as EA is concerned, it didn't make enough money. So they were like, okay, that you're on probation. And then basically for the last 2 or 3 years, they had been working on a Star Wars game, a single player focused Star Wars game, which they showed at an E3 a few years ago, which basically was like it was basically going to take place on Coruscant, which is, if you know anything about Star Wars, Coruscant is it's a planet where it's covered entirely by city. Like, I think there's only one place on Coruscant where there's still like natural habitat that's not city. And it's a protected park, but the rest of it is just all city. And you play a bounty hunter who someone who's been transported from point A to point B manages to escape, and you play a bounty hunter hunting them down. And that sounds like a really cool game, because so many Star Wars games are like, oh man, you're a Jedi or a Sith Lord. And it's like this, can we all agree at this point that the Star Wars franchise needs to have something that goes a little bit deeper than space wizards with energy swords and shooting lightning bolts at people?
I was about to say, I thought you were going to say Space D&D.
So you're saying that the best Star Wars games tend to involve like soldiers, rebels.
No, I'm saying that it needs to go deeper than that. You know, like, okay, think about the greatest Star Wars games of all time by Star Wars fans are the ones that aren't specifically just all about Jedis and Sith Lords. Like a lot of people like Jedi Knight, right?
Right.
Jedi Knight's one of their favorite games, but Jedi Knight, you play Kyle Katarn, who's been kicked out of the Jedi Order, and the beginning of the game is just Kyle Katarn using guns and blasters, and then at a certain point he builds another lightsaber, and then you earn your lightsaber, you earn your Force abilities, right? It's like an earned pursuit. It's not just, oh, you're a Jedi again, ooh, lightsaber, yeah. Or if you play, let's say, Knights of the Old Republic 1 or 2, you have to build your lightsaber. You have to earn the right to use a lightsaber. It's not just, well, I'm already a Jedi again, yay! Or I'm already a Sith Lord. So there's like build-up. There's other stuff involved. And some fights are much better if you don't use Force powers. If you use the dudes with blasters and grenades and gadgets and gizmos and stuff like that.
Another best Star Wars game is the Battlefront, at least the first 2 Battlefront games.
Yeah, and those games were fun. those games were really fun. Not the shit that EA made with Dice. I mean, the old ones made by, ironically, Pandemic Studios, which EA bought and shuttered. EA, they're so awesome. Here's a little bit of news that just came out today. This has nothing to do with gaming. I just thought it would be cool. An African rhino injures poacher in rare reversal of fortune. Just thought that was kind of cool.
And I was just watching, and that was right after I finished watching a Strossel video about how to save a better alternative to saving rhinos, which involves like creating artificial horns to devalue the rhino's horn.
I have a better idea. The people who poach rhinos, they go after the people who buy rhino horn and crucify them really publicly. You do that to enough people, they'll stop doing it because they're like, I don't want to die.
They've been doing that, and it's...
No, they haven't been crucifying people who sell rhino horn. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. They haven't been crucifying people who sell. They haven't been crucifying poachers and people who buy and sell on the black market endangered and going extinct animals. They haven't. They haven't. No, they haven't. They have not.
But
it's good to hear those guys get their comeuppance, though.
But all this rhino talk is pretty off topic. So let's get back to the gaming news with this one that came out this week.
Yeah. So EA, I mean, yeah, EA shuttered. They shuttered another. They shuttered another studio. And the reason that we've discovered why they shuttered a studio is because, you know, Visceral didn't make enough money. Plus, Visceral was taking too long to get their Star Wars game out. Plus, Visceral wanted to make a single-player centric Star Wars game, and EA wanted to make a Star Wars game that could be microtransaction to hell.
But didn't they know that they helped them make money too? Oh wait, this is third party we're talking about.
Yeah, this is third party. Yeah.
So let's talk about another gaming news that came out this week. Neo Jeff shutting down because of the alleged sexual assault by its owner.
Wait a second. Well, did I hear that right? NeoGAF shutting down because one of their owners is
NeoGAF isn't shutting down. The guy, basically, no one can post anything relating to the allegations against him, or he'll shut them down. And since NeoGAF is a dumpster fire with dirty diapers inside of it and tires, that means that everyone's posting things. So no one's putting anything up there because he just blocks them immediately, or flags their thing. Yeah. Yeah.
All the moderators are gone.
Yeah, he's flagged. Yeah, he's even flagged moderators. But I mean, like, anyone who's ever been to NeoGAF knows that NeoGAF is it's a very toxic place.
Yeah, very toxic circle jerk.
Toxic? That's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
Like a poisonous swamp.
Yeah, we have a friend of the channel named John Lucas who basically wrote this really eloquent article about how Nintendo had this master plan to take over the industry and bring everything back in line. And I mean, it's one of the few things that isn't garbage on NeoGAF, but the thing is just like, he put it up there. And I mean, it's a very good read. I'll see if I can find it one day and put it up there. But I mean, it was about Nintendo third party and Nintendo's party, something like that. It was very well done, but
it was about how Nintendo back together under one roof because of what's going on with their handling of the gaming industry.
Yeah, basically. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. But basically, essentially what happened is this. it turns out that the guy who runs NeoGAF is accused of making untoward advances towards multiple women. And like, rather than hash it out or just say, you know, I can't talk about it right now, he's shutting people down who even bring it up on his site, which is kind of like, oh well.
Prickish move.
Well, I mean, NeoGAF is a shithole anyway. I mean, let's let's just. I mean, it's kind of a. I mean, like if you're a Nintendo person, you know that every time you would basically go on NeoGAF, it would turn into people getting, you know, all, you know, like you'd mention something about Nintendo.
All whiny about Nintendo.
Well, okay. Yeah, people would say something negative about Nintendo, and you'd say, well, actually, that's not entirely true. This is what happened. And then they get mad, and like, if you used facts, like, you get blocked. Like, if you brought up like actual data, it's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, block. So, I mean, this guy already, if you say something he doesn't like or he deems inflammatory, he blocks people. The moderators would do the same thing. And now some things have come out on him, and it's like, and plus, I mean, he's apparently he's done some other scummy things that are kind of like, I mean, like there was apparently a dude on NeoGAF who used to be a poster or something, and he was convicted of being involved with child pornography. And this guy apparently transferred some money to him for his defense. And I'm like,
what?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, dude. No. Child pornography is where I draw the line. Like, if someone is doing child pornography, I'm like, yeah, you've just gone over the line, so get the fuck away from me.
Sexualizing children is no good, real or fictional. I
mean, that's pretty much why a lot of Japanese anime for me and manga, it's like that kid's like 15. That's a 15-year-old girl. And I know in Japan that's different, but to me, I'm just like, that girl's too damn young. I'm sorry, I can't get into this. And I just kind of, and I know that's like, I know the culture is different, but to me, that's fucked up. So I can't roll with it.
And there have been, and Western society has been trying to pressure Japan to abandon those cultures to adopt our Western culture in order to normalize them.
Well, see, that's the thing. This isn't like this isn't like a culture thing. If a 30-something-year-old man is hitting on a 15-year-old girl, even if it's in Japan, and even though there are legal rules around that, that's still fucked up. You understand? Like, even if something isn't illegal, that doesn't make it ethical. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I get that, though. I have to wonder how many some people go over just to do stuff like that, because it just hurts my head at times.
Like, there's certain things here in America, certain scams that aren't necessarily illegal, but they're damn sure unethical.
As I said, I wonder how many barrels.
So, I mean, you know, like, I mean, a lot of those Japanese people, I mean, they're like, yeah, there's nothing bad with it. Well, I'll tell you what, man, you have a daughter? Yeah, how old's your daughter? 13. Let a 33-year-old man knock on your door saying, I'm taking your 13-year-old daughter on a date. See how calm you'll be.
I was about to say, they probably have a fire, that's in the flash going by.
Be like, I'll take care of your ass in a minute. Just wait on. Just give me 20 minutes. I'll take care of you. So, I mean, like, you know, there are places in the world where 12-year-old girls are married off, and it's legal where they are. That just because it's legal where you are doesn't mean that's okay. Because, I mean, under the normal circumstances, like a 12-year-old girl, even if she matures way too ready, is not very early. Is not. She doesn't have the mental
capacity.
She doesn't have the emotional and mental maturity in order to be in that type of relationship.
Could you imagine that marrying 12-year-old girls used to be common back in the day?
That is true, and it's just, look, it was fucked up then, just like it's fucked up. Like, here's the thing: back then, you could say, well, that was society, and women didn't live that long, and all that type of stuff. But now, the way life is, in even third world countries, where the type of opportunities that are available, there's no excuse for a 12-year-old girl to get married. Zero, none.
And some are speculating that in the further future, the age of consent will be raised higher, so it might be 21 instead of 18.
Well, 18 I can deal with. 21 I can deal with. But like even if the age of
more
consent,
reasonable ages.
yeah, even if the age of consent is 16 and a girl is 16, if you're a 30-something-year-old man, a 28-year-old man, you shouldn't be dating a 16-year-old girl. I'm sorry, you just no. You have fucking nothing in common.
I have problems with the age of consent being 16 because child pornography laws also makes it illegal for any to take pictures of anyone under 18.
Well, sexual pictures of anyone under 18.
Even
but
though,
I mean,
though some age of consent is under 18.
Like I said, man, it's a big quagmire. I think people need to reevaluate how those things are, but that's neither here nor there. The owner of NeoGAF has been accused of some pretty horrendous things, and there's nothing I can say except, I mean, he's up shit creek without a paddle at this point.
Yep. Now, moving on to something more positive or negative, depending if you're not a fan of Nintendo.
Yeah.
The update for the latest update for the Switch, video capture.
Yeah, you can.
Granted that you only get 30 seconds of you get in the past, it's still pretty neat. In fact, I actually saw somebody do a.
I understand the 30-minute. I understand the 30-second limit because it's only meant for Facebook and Twitter posts.
Well, not just that. I mean, you have to remember that most people who have a Switch are families. Like, people with kids and families. They didn't get an expanded memory card for this. So basically, what they got is what they got. So you got limited amount of memory. And I mean, like, it's just so that people can share a little blurb, a little taste of the game on people on YouTube, Twitter. I think they'll patch in Google and YouTube later on. I mean, it's not designed like, if you want more options, because I heard some people been bitching about it. This doesn't have enough options. Oh, well, why don't we go look at Xbox? Oh, they only do 30-second clips too. Okay, never mind. Why don't we go look at Sony? I think only, like, it depends. It's a game by game basis. It's not for everything that Sony you can use the YouTube streaming share thing. And I think if you want to use the sharing thing, it's only through Twitch and YouTube, like, directly. Like, you can't, like, just take individual things and put it in different sites. Like, you can't say, well, I'm putting this on Google, I'm going to put this 20-second clip on Google, I'm going to put, like, you can't do that. So, I mean, the fact that like, here's the thing. It's not very good on any of the systems. If you want the most options, put down $30, $40, $50, $60, $100 and get yourself a capture card. Then you get way more options.
Oh, and I should mention that the forum I go to, Poke Community, has a thread dedicated to complaining about the new update, saying whether or not Nintendo is backwards. I'll post it right here on the group chat.
I just have to say that seriously, they're giving us test of what these other companies are doing, which is pretty neat, and yet restricted, so it doesn't eat up all memory. And what do you guys do? Do what Baby Mario does when off Yoshi.
And one user from that thread mentioned how out of touch Japan is for the past 20 or 30 years.
Well, that's weird, because Japan pretty much, if you really want to think about it, Japan's about in terms of commercial things. They're about 20 or 30 years ahead of everyone else.
Exactly.
In terms of, so basically, that's why when I did that video a few weeks ago talking about how it's concerning that Japan isn't buying a lot of consoles, and even handhelds are going down, and like buying new games, that's going to be the rest of the industry in the next 5 or 10 years. Unless there's a major shakeup. And typically speaking, the only time you see major shakeups in Japan that change the industry is from Nintendo. It's not Sony, folks. So,
and when I try to counter argue that same guy's post, and his response is not so kind, telling me that trying to nitpick piece by all of my counter arguments piece by piece of how wrong I am.
Yeah, they love to do that. They love to do that.
Yeah, and this is where even I have to be at times, because I get nitpicked for things I actually say for certain topics.
Well, I mean, the thing is this, okay? If you like, here's the way I feel about it. If you don't like something, just don't buy it. Like, I don't like the Xbox, so I have not bought an Xbox. I never will buy an Xbox. The only thing that would entice me to buy an Xbox is if I found one on sale for like $25. Okay? And before someone says, "What do you mean? I bought a Vita TV for $25. Came with a game too." So my point is that I have no problem buying something for dirt cheap, even if I don't like it, because it's like there might be a game or two. But I don't like Microsoft's philosophy in the gaming market, but I don't spend every single video talking about how Microsoft sucks and how the Xbox is terrible. I mean, you can't harp on how you don't like something over and over and over again.
Yeah, it becomes, because it eventually becomes redundant.
Exactly. It's like, okay, we get it. You don't like Nintendo. Why? First of all, you're in the Pokemon. Like, okay, Pokemon games and Nintendo are synonymous with one another. Okay? So you hate Nintendo, but you like playing a product that you can only get on their system. You're stupid.
That's basically how some of these people are in Poke community. They like the Pokemon franchise, yet they don't care that much about Nintendo or their other products.
That's weird. Because to me, Pokemon is like baby's first RPG. Like, if you want a deeper, I mean, Pokemon is fine and dandy. I know some people are gonna get mad at me because they'll be like, "You're not a true blue Pokemon fan." No, bitches. I started from Gen 1 and I bought all of them up to now. Except for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I might get Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, but like not now. I'll probably wait till next year or something. But my point is like, and I know some people say, "What about the free Pokemon they give you?" Look, I have Pokemon Bank. I can transfer all my friggin' Pokemon from one game to the other, so it doesn't really matter now, does it?
Well, at least from Gen 3 all the way to now.
No, I've actually, through hook and crook and various other games like Pokemon Ranch on the Wii, I have transferred all of my Pokemon and Pokemon Coliseum on the GameCube. I've transferred all of my Pokemon from Gen 1 all the way up till now. Like, I have my teams. I have boxes of Pokemon from Gen 1 that have all the ribbons, like that special ribbon you can get from trading a Pokemon from Gen 1 all the way up to the current one. Like, I have.
But I was saying that was mostly I mean, it started at Gen 3 and it's at this current gen right now, which I'm saying.
Yeah, it took years to do this now.
Yeah, I know. I was saying, you're saying that you somehow was able to pull Pokemon from Generation 1, the original.
Yeah.
No, you can. That's a lot of work.
No, you could do it. Basically, if you had the original DS, you could basically put. If you had the original DS, you could essentially
Oh
put
yeah, the GBA slot, PAL Park. I know that feature.
Yeah, you could play the PAL Park, which is what I did. I traded because basically you could put you could use your PAL Park with the original Game Boy games and the Game Boy Advance games, which is what I did in order to transfer them over. Then I took, and believe me, it's like basically I transferred like 45 of my top tier Pokemon, like my creme de la creme Gen 1 Pokemon. And then I basically transferred like those from the Game Boy Advance versions, which was black and white. I didn't get black and white too. I know some people like, you need to have that game. I was like, no. And I transferred those up I transferred those up using the Game Boy, using the DS.
That slingshot feature they had for Gen black and white.
Yes, and then I transferred those over to like to my other. You could transfer them via, if I remember correctly, the Wii. You could transfer them via the Pokemon Park for the Wii, because Pokemon Park was a shitty game, but you could transfer Pokemon from your DS to Pokemon Park, which is what I did. I transferred all 45 of them. It was a bitch because only with the Pokemon Bank did Nintendo actually figure out how you could just highlight an entire box of Pokemon and sling them over. It's weird, but but anyway, yeah. So I mean, I traded my stuff up the old-fashioned way. So yeah, I'm a true blue Pokemon fan. Been trading them up and have this core team that I have kicked people's ass in competitions with.
So continuing on about the Pokemon fans who are not a fan of other Nintendo.
Yeah,
the same can be said about old school Nintendo fans, which are those who grew up in the 80s and 90s, but don't give a crud about Pokemon, but do give a crud about Nintendo IPs made after Pokemon, such as Pikmin and Splatoon.
Yeah, but I mean, the difference is like, okay, here's what I've discovered. Okay, people who like specific franchises from Nintendo tend to be some of the most fake ass fans I've ever seen. They're like, I like Kirby, but I don't like Mario, Zelda, and Metroid. I like Pokemon, but I don't like the other stuff they make. The old school fans who started in the 80s and the 90s, like maybe they like the NES and the SNES, they tend to be a little more, well, they tend to be like, okay, I don't like how Nintendo does things, but I understand the company because they grew up with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they aren't like, okay, that's how Nintendo is. Whereas the people who only like specific games or like one franchise, it's
you
like
kind of get nitpicky to no end.
It's like you don't understand the company. You claim to like this product from them. They're like, I like Mario, but I only like the 2D Marios. I'm like, but you don't like New Super Mario Brothers, which is the 2D Marios. It's its own franchise now. It's a spin-off. Well, I mean, actually, it's like the original, kind of like Metroid. The 2D Metroid games have become their own spin-off.
Which is strange because the 2D Metroids are supposed to be the actual mainline Metroids.
Exactly. But people like Metroid Prime is like the game that made a lot of people say, wow, this shit's awesome. And I'm the opposite person. Like, I played Metroid Prime, was like, nah. I've already told that story, how I did not give a shit about Metroid Prime. But that's neither here nor there.
That's another topic for another day.
Yeah. And since you mentioned Mario, we should also discuss about the street date for Super Mario Odyssey being broken.
Yeah, apparently someone got the game early. And personally, you know what I think? I think some of the units shipped early, and someone made like, because a lot of game stores, they'll get the thing early, and some of the employees are encouraged to play it. And I think someone leaked footage early. This is just a supposition. This is my guess. I'm not 100% sure that's what happened. But here's what I got to say. Whoever did this, whoever broke the street date and posted stuff, Nintendo's going to find that shit, and your ass is grass and their lawnmower. That's it. Enough said.
Seriously, how many people lesson? Do not screw over Nintendo on their biggest products.
Especially,
It's
like,
like
here's
steal
the
money
thing.
from them. And we all know how Nintendo is with their money.
Especially not Mario. Like, Mario is Nintendo's #1 mascot. Why would you do that? Like,
Yeah. I mean,
End up like the Smash leaker.
yeah, like, why would you mess with their #1 mascot? Like, their #1 most important, most badass. Like, I mean, you could arguably say Mario is the most valuable IP in the video game industry.
and to release his games early is like an insult to
Well,
the entire gaming industry.
I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, I'm gonna keep it real. I've gotten games early before the street date. You know, I think everyone at some point has gotten some game early. But here's the thing. Generally
Not me,
speaking,
but I can understand this.
Generally, when you get a windfall like that, you know what you do? You take your game home and you fucking play it and you don't tell anybody. You shut the fuck up and play your game. Is that so hard?
Up until the game's actual release, you can talk about it.
Well, you don't even talk about it because you got it through a windfall. You don't brag about something that you're not supposed to have yet. It's kind of like when you're a kid.
The only exception is the reviewers, as far as I know. But
yeah, but even them are under
NDA.
Yeah, even they have an NDA where there's certain things they can't talk about. So, and they have a relationship with whomever gave them the review copy. So if you're with Nintendo, they have a business relationship where it's like, okay, you can talk about this, and this, but you can't give this, and this. And they're like, okay, we won't release it we won't talk about it until that Thursday before it releases or that Friday before it releases. Like, that's how they work, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is like, I've gotten games early, not out of anything illicit. Maybe it was shipped a little bit early or something like that. But I wasn't like, yeah, man, I'm going to take pictures. I'm going to share the story, blah, 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 blah. It's like, dude, if you get something early, shut the fuck up and just play your game and enjoy it.
Plus, Nintendo's becoming much more stricter with their review copies ever since Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions got leaked.
Yeah.
This is going to put that belt even tighter. And whoever it is, everybody on the internet is going to have to be thanking that person for doing this.
Yeah.
As the forced hands.
Look, and here's what people need to understand. This is not Iwata's Nintendo. Iwata is gone. This is Kimishima's Nintendo. Kimishima is a hard-ass motherfucker. Okay? He's not afraid. He's not afraid to play ball. Okay? And at this point, Nintendo has the hottest console out. I know Microsoft's supposed to be releasing their shit next month, but come on, man. The triple Xbox isn't going to do shit. Okay?
You just have...
I mean, let's keep it real. It's not like Microsoft is going to release it. It might sell well for like maybe... Well, I would say it would sell well, but Nintendo's releasing Mario Odyssey next week. So, I mean... Really? You're gonna put a system out that has no core games whatsoever coming to it, launching with it, like a system update. No Halo 5, no Halo 6, no Fable, nothing. Against a system that has perhaps the most anticipated holiday game of this year. Seriously. And you expect it to do well. It's like Microsoft said, "Hey, jump out of this airplane. Oh, and by the way, I sabotaged your parachute. Bye." Ah! And then act surprised when the person splats on the ground. Oops. He died. His parachute wasn't working.
Oh, and I also know that the Odyssey amiibos are being shipped early as well. And there was a photo show at the back cover of the Wedding Peach amiibo showing that and it can also be a costume for Mario. So
Yeah.
which means Luigi's not going to be the only character to cross-dress.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to keep it real. I haven't bought any amiibos for a game except for the four champions of the four Hylian champions of
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild. Like I'm not buying any amiibos for
collectors' purposes.
No, because it's like, okay, so now I can play as Mario in a dress. Okay, so it's not giving me any special abilities or anything. So
yeah, none of the outfits have special abilities other than to gain access to certain areas of the game.
Yeah. So I mean, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, if you have to have Mario pulling the princess from Spaceballs when they caught the stunt doubles, cool. These are their stunt doubles. And the chick is like just a dude with a mustache and a cigar in his mouth. Like, if you have to do that again, well, fine then. I mean, if that makes you happy, but I'm not doing it. Shit, I have enough amiibos in my house. Okay, I'm not one of those people. I have to collect every single amiibo or else.
So that's enough Odyssey talk. Let's talk about the one news that Jewel Rider found this week involving Activision.
Oh yeah. I don't know what that news was. Jewel
It was a patent that revealing that Activision is using a matchmaking system that encourages players to buy microtransactions.
Oh yeah. They basically are they're putting lower tier players with higher tier players in order to make them lose so that they're more enticed into spending extra money to keep up with the higher tier players.
Yep, exactly. And I found that to be absolutely disgusting because the point of matchmaking higher skilled players with lower skilled players is to prevent either side from one-siding the other and not encourage the newbies to use microtransactions to get good.
Yeah, but I mean, are we like, okay, fine then. This is disgusting, but are we surprised? Like, is this really shocking?
I mean, I want to be, but I can't.
Now, to be fair, I haven't actually I mean, to be fair, I haven't actually played. I haven't bought an Activision game in years. I'm not getting Destiny 2. I didn't get the first Destiny. I haven't bought an Activision game in years.
Speaking of Destiny 2, I haven't heard anything else about that game since its release.
I heard if you want the best version of Destiny, get it on PC. Destiny 2 is get it on PC. The problem is that I don't like the design philosophy behind Destiny or Destiny 2. So, because I remember when it came out and I went to my friend's house and I played it at his house and I was like, this game is fun, but it seems like it's only half a game. And I'll be damned, it was half a game because there was all this extra content that was supposed to be in the game when it first launched, and they took that out so they could release it as DLC later on. It's quote unquote expansions. And it seems like Destiny 2 is what Destiny 1 should have been, but it's just, I mean, but this is Activision. This is what they do. I mean, I can't, it's kind of like this. I can't get mad. Like, here's the thing. It's like someone getting mad that a snake bit them. Like, why'd that snake bite me? It's a snake. That's its nature.
Activision has been around. Activision has been around since the 80s. I'm surprised they were able to live this long.
Well, because Activision knows how to make money. Like, here's the thing, right? Activision knows how to make money. All right, they know how.
And plus, they've treasures.
And here's what I'll say about Activision over EA. Activision makes all types of games, or should I say they publish all types of games. They publish games for single player, they publish games for multiplayer, and plus they merge with Blizzard, so they have MMOs that are massively online multiplayer games. Activision knows how to make money. And the people who buy their products feel like they aren't getting screwed over. Now, we'll disagree on that because we have different definitions of what is a full and complete game, but Activision is fair and upfront. Like, you get a Call of Duty game, you know what you're getting. You get, for years you get Tony Hawk, you knew what you were getting. You got Guitar Hero, you knew what you were getting. You get World of Warcraft, you know what you're getting. Like, I can't, and people have been playing those games for years and are perfectly happy with them. So I can't, they know how to make money. That's what I'll say about Activision.
That I could agree on.
Yeah.
About how some of these people act.
Yeah. I mean, look, EA released World of Warcraft in space, called it Star Wars: The Old Republic, and that game bombed. Okay, that game got their old CEO fired. Okay, and it's not a terrible game, but it's just it's a shitty World of Warcraft clone with a better single player.
Okay, so I think that's all the video game news I have for now, at least.
No, we got a little bit more. The Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon thoughts.
Oh yeah, I already pre-ordered the dual pack.
God damn, dude. Yeah, I might get it, but I'm not gonna get it now. I'll probably get it next year. Jewel, your thoughts?
With my against Gen 7 already, I'm gonna wait until further notice to grab those games.
I don't know why they call it Ultra Sun and Moon, because from what I've heard, it sounds like they took this is basically, instead of the shit they gave us in Sun and Moon, it seems like this is more like, okay, clearly people were not happy with Sun and Moon, so we're gonna take the shit that was good from X and Y and bring it into Sun and Moon and smash it together, which is what they should have done in the first place. Like, this is what they should have done in the first place.
They call it the they call it the compilation. Yet game journalists are calling it their last 3DS game.
It could,
even though that's not what the definition of compilation means.
I mean, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't make sense for them to make this their last 3DS game because, like I said, the 3DS has almost 70 million install base at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and not to mention Reggie mentioning that the 3DS will get support beyond 2018.
So it doesn't make sense for them to. It doesn't make sense for the Pokemon company to abandon a 70 million install base to support at this point what is not even a 10 million install base. Because even if they go all in on a 10 million install base, because let's just say that by the end of Nintendo's fiscal year, which ends in March, they'll be at 10 million at that point, maybe a little over 10 million. But you have a base that has 70 million, so it's like you have a bigger pool, like a much bigger pool. So it doesn't make sense for them to be like, well, and I know Pokemon games are evergreen and they sell all throughout the year and all that stuff, but it just doesn't make sense to abandon that. I think you might get one more Pokemon game for the 3DS.
I guess I'll interject. Hello, this is.
We were just talking about Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess I'll first say it might be. People are gonna say like it's too late because Gen 6 is over, but I'm still kind of holding on to this until the end of next year. It might be Delta, Emerald, and Z.
You know, here's what I think. I think that they're going to make two. I think they're gonna make two Pokemon games. I think the Pokemon game they're gonna put on the Switch is gonna be very different from what you see from the Pokemon games you saw on the DS, the 3DS. It's gonna be different.
Which is why I'm predicting it's gonna be a reimagining of the original Red and Blue games.
It could be. Like, here's the thing. I don't know, but like, okay, you cannot put what they've been putting on handhelds on the Switch. You can't. Because people are going to feel like, why would I pay $60 for this shit when I can pay $39.99 and get the same experience on my handheld? Like it. Not
to mention that the Switch has very limited handheld capabilities. Like 2 hours of like
it's not.
Continue.
It's not the same. It's just not the same. You know, the Switch is a console that's portable. The 3DS is a handheld. It is designed to be portable from the ground up.
If it was treated as a handheld, would it kind of suffer kind of the same fate as the Vita, maybe, or similar one?
No. Because it wouldn't.
This is Pokemon and Nintendo we're talking about here.
Yeah, here's what killed the Vita. Okay, everyone thinks the Vita was killed because. Sony likes to say, well, it's the mobile market, which is bullshit. The Vita died for three reasons. First of all, Sony didn't support the Vita with first-party content or second-party content. Number two, those memory cards were friggin' ridiculous. Like, I remember the 16 gigabyte memory card was like $70. The 32 gigabyte memory card was like $89.
And beyond that is $100.
Yeah, the 64 gig memory card was basically $100-something. Like it was like $100. Like even on sale, it was like $109, and not on sale, it was like $132, $120, like $140, and that's ridiculous. Like here's the thing: I could buy a used 3DS. For the price of a shitty $99 for a shitty 64 gig Vita memory card. That's bullshit. And I mean, and then the third reason is Sony, instead of supporting, like, connects to the first reason. Instead of them supporting the Vita themselves, they expected third parties to support the Vita, which is
how the Wii U initially had a slow start because of Nintendo's relying on the third parties.
Yeah, but the difference is that the difference between the Vita and the Wii U is that Nintendo made money off of the Wii U. Sony did not make money off of the Vita. They did not make any money. The only people who made money off the Vita were Japanese third parties who supported the Vita, because basically they could use the architecture that they use for the PSP and just port that shit over to the Vita, just make it a little bit prettier and port it over to the Vita. So they were just giving you PSP ports to the Vita, just slightly prettier. So no, you don't have to worry about, if you treated your Switch like it was just a handheld, a straight up handheld, you would not have to worry about it falling into the fate of the Vita, because Nintendo is going to support the Switch. Just like they're supporting the 3D. They supported the 3DS when it first came out. They're going to support their stuff
for the first 5 to 6 years until the next console.
Well, I won't go that far. Nintendo goes all in for the first 3 years, generally speaking, on the console. That's when they start dropping the good stuff. Like with the SNES, they were like, okay, here's Super Mario World, here's F-Zero, here's The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Here's, strong first party stuff. And then they get some good second party and third party stuff. And then, then third parties start to jump in with some stuff, to kind of help keep it going. But yeah, I mean, and then after about 3.5 years, 4 years, Nintendo begins to die down and they start working on their next console or handheld. Well, not their handheld, because their handhelds tend to stay on the market longer, but they start working on their next console. So you see less first-party games, but they always send one big hurrah game at the end of a console's life cycle. So like for the SNES, it was like Donkey Kong and Star Fox. For the N64, it was Majora's Mask and like Banjo-Tooie and Perfect Dark.
And Paper Mario.
And Paper Mario, yeah. So, and for the Wii U, it was
Splash.
No, it was Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was the last Wii U game. So Breath of the Wild, like their last big hurrah games. And you could say Color Splash too, but like they always kind of have a big hurrah game, and then they move on to the next thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But no, Nintendo is never going to have a console that winds up like the Vita, or a handheld that winds up like the Vita. And I know some people will say, "What about the Wii U? The Wii U made money for Nintendo, so it wasn't a failure." It was underperformed, but it wasn't a failure. It wasn't like, oh my God, we're gonna have to sell off buildings. Unlike a certain company,
like Sony.
Yeah. In order to make it seem like we turned a profit, we sold off buildings.
And now they're publishing their games on the Switch under a different label.
Yeah, it's the Sony Music label, which I'm like, yeah, the one part of your business that's actually profitable is actually selling games on your competitor system. That's just pathetic.
That's a low blow.
Yeah, but yeah.
And people were predicting Nintendo was going third party.
Look, people that's wishful thinking.
Exactly.
Look. Okay, here's what I'm gonna say. Nintendo could totally get out of the home console market and still make money off of their handhelds. And I don't mean when I say, and I know people say the Switch is a handheld. The Switch is not a handheld. The Switch is a console that has portability. You can take it other places and continue your game. Like when I say handhelds, I mean Nintendo could release in the next year and a half, 2 years, they could release another handheld, the successor to the 3DS, and they could make major money off of it if the price point was right. If they said this is $150 or $199.99 or $189.99, and it comes with a game, boom, 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 they could survive just off of that alone. But whatever.
So let's move on to the main topic of this podcast.
Yes. The ultimate GTA game. This is something that's been rattling around in my head for a long time, and I tried to get this topic off in other podcasts, but we never had enough time to really do it. But I said, what the hell? We'll get it done one of these days. So,
it could have been happening on Wednesday, but today works.
Well, Wednesday was Hump Day, and I wanted to focus on one game, and it's hard to go from GTA to Gauntlet or Gauntlet to GTA because they're two completely different games. So basically, I invited people here to discuss if they could design their own ultimate GTA game, how would they do it? So my criteria are what would be the story, what would be the setting, what would be the characters, what would be like the radio stations and stuff like that. What would be all of those various points? What would be used to create your ultimate GTA game? So who wants to go first? Dragon Sword, I'll let you go first. What would be your ultimate GTA game?
To be honest, I am not a fan of those type of games. So I guess I'll instead explain my idea for a GTA-like game.
Okay,
and I guess
ahead.
the best version of this would just be more violence. And story, I guess, make it more like, I like it to kind of be more like Watch Dogs, kind of, where it involves like technology and stuff. Something.
All right.
Yeah.
So hacking and stuff?
Yeah, pretty much, and just using drones and stuff, yeah.
All right. Okay. Would it have a sci-fi bent, or would it be more like just straight up like, science fiction, if you will?
It kind of would be like Blade Runner 2049. sort of, where it would just like you be in the environment and just do certain objectives and just not objectives, but like side quests on like the people in the world. And
Okay. All right. Anything else? So what would be the music? What would be the characters, the setting, like the city? Would it be a real world city? Would it be a fake city? Would it be inspired by a real world setting? What?
A bit of both, yeah. Inspired by a real world setting, but also a bit more in the fiction side of it, sci-fi side of it, yeah. What was the element that I also needed to explain too?
Well, first it was the story. So
Yeah.
what would be the story? What would be the,
A guy who works, I guess, at a police station and got wrongly arrested, and so it kind of becomes more of a mystery of what was going on with that.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
You know what that sounds kind of like? That sounds a little bit like what was the name of that? What was the name of that awesomely badass TV true crime?
That show?
No, true crime. True Crime was a game for the GameCube and the PS2, where you played this guy named. Excuse me.
I was trying to say, I remember on the Nintendo systems, and it was pretty neat, even though it was a beat 'em up of sorts. If I think about it.
Well, I mean, it had beat 'em up elements because basically, True Crime was you played this guy named Nick Kang, who was a police officer who was suspended off the force, but then he has to come back because there's something nefarious going on in the streets of LA. And basically, it was divided into chapters, and you basically had to discover what was going on. And there were portions, there were action portions, and then there were like arrest portions. So there were portions where you had to use a gun, and then there were portions in the game where you couldn't use a gun. You had to fight people like using kung fu moves. And Nick Kang was a martial artist, so he knew various kung fu moves and takedowns. And you could like go to various police training points in the game and like learn different driving techniques in order to pull people over. Like it was actually like a pretty fun little game. The thing that killed the game was that Activision had the nerve to say it was the GTA killer, and I was like, no, it was not a GTA killer. Yeah, it was a good game though.
Much like how Mac was supposed to be the Mario killer, and look how that turned out.
Well, no one said that except for PlayStation. No one at PlayStation said that. That was just something that someone else said.
PlayStation fanboys.
Yeah. Although PlayStation did say that did have the nerve to say that
Nerve to say that what?
Back in the day during the second gen, that Dark Cloud was going to be the Legend of Zelda killer.
and nobody's ever heard of that game.
Well, I mean, Dark Cloud was not a bad game. The sequel wasn't that good. To tell you the truth, it was not that good. It had too much going on. And the third game in the Dark Cloud series, which they didn't even call Dark Cloud, it was called Rogue Galaxy, which was actually a pretty good game. It was basically, they took everything they learned from Dark Cloud 1 and 2 and made a better game that was less bullshit going on and more focused. But, I mean, sales-wise, it never came close to The Legend of Zelda. So, No, it was not in The Legend of
They
Zelda.
got trounced.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's a good game. The first Dark Cloud is good. The main character looks kind of like a bootleg Link. He has a green cap. He wields a sword. He doesn't talk. He's a mute bastard like Link. He's got elfin ears. He goes into dungeons finding treasure. I mean, it's very like, you can tell these people, and it was made by Level 5. So Level 5 makes good games. Like, I've never played a Level 5 game that was garbage. But Sony marketed it as The Legend of Zelda Killer, and that killed the game, because basically you can never say that you have anything that's going to kill a legendary franchise that's years old, if you will. That's just stupid. That's bad business. Never say you're making any type of killer, because you're not. Because you ain't killing, like, you're not killing a franchise that's years old. You're just not.
You're just
Don't
digging
even
your
try.
own grave for saying that.
Just don't say you're making you're not making a killer. You because Legend of Zelda is one of the premier games made. Like, you're not going to be able to kill the Legend of Zelda. Like, no one has made a Legend of Zelda. No one's made something that rivals Legend of Zelda.
What beat do they think they are to think that could happen?
Well, I think it was just marketing. It was just someone trying to market. They were just trying to market that. They were like, well, we're going to make a Legend of Zelda killer. No, you aren't. Don't do that. Please don't do that, because
They're
it's
just asking for something.
Yeah, but Sony does that all the time. Like, Sony's marketing does that all the time. They're like, man, this is the Legend of Zelda killer. Don't say that, please. Please don't say that. Please, for the
That
love of
just
God.
sets them up for a big fail.
So who else is? So I guess either someone else is next.
He's not done. He did the story. He did the setting. Yeah, and he kind of did the characters. Are there any characters aside from the cop lead?
I guess it would be an otaku. that'll be a nice twist.
So you want a Travis Touchdown like character?
Maybe
Shut. You have a beam katana and charge it up.
Maybe.
Matter of fact, you should just change yours. I want a GTA style. No More Heroes. Actually, I think all of us would like a GTA style. No More Heroes. In order to save, you have to go to the bathroom. Yeah, that's his thing. He's like, I gotta save. Like in GTA, you go into your room and you hit the tape deck and you save. Nope, not Travis Touchdown. He goes to the bathroom. Like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I shouldn't eat that burrito. Oh. I'm sorry. I know I've gone too far, but I mean, we all love No More Heroes. We know it's an awesome series.
And we're loving that it's coming back.
Yeah, even though it's kind of a, something different. But so an otaku, that's cool.
And what about the radio station, Dragon?
Yeah, what music would you have in the game?
I guess some Asian music, yeah.
Some Asian music, so like J-pop.
Yeah.
Will that include anime?
Yeah.
Anime songs?
That would be
yeah.
really cool. The character gets in his car. It's like a badass muscle car, and like he turns it on and switches on the radio. Like maybe it's an escort mission. He's got someone with him. It's like, man, I need some tunes. He's like, you're right. He turns it on, and it's like some really bubblegum pop J-pop, like really bad J-pop. You could make that into a joke. He looks like a real badass, but he listens to J-pop. like Night O' Fire. But yeah, we have some. So we have some questions in the comment section. We'll get to those at the end of the podcast. So if you have any questions, put them in, or comments. We'll talk about it. But that's neither here nor there. So who wants to go next? Who wants to create their GTA?
I will.
Okay, go ahead, Pinky.
Well,
go ahead.
Okay. A problem I have with organized crime in the real world is that they think too small. They should think bigger. And I don't mean and I don't mean that seriously though, because I really wish they don't. So basically, the story for my ideal GTA game is that the goal is to take over the entire city, and in order to do that, you have to win the trust of other existing organized crimes from that city, so they can help you take down the mayor, and become the new mayor of that city. And everyone must apply to your rules and make organized crime legal.
Okay, so what you're essentially creating is, it sounds like to me, I'm not saying this is 100%, but it sounds like to me what you were essentially creating is Final Fight the game. except it's Final Fight the open world game we always wanted. Except you're playing it from the villain side, or maybe for a twist, you play as both the heroes and the villains. Maybe the first half of the game you're playing as the villain, and the second half you're playing as the heroes trying to take down the villain.
And the ending of the story will be a sequel bait of your quote unquote hero going to go bigger by taking over the entire country and become its president, I believe.
Oh man, you're getting a little too close to reality with that one. Sorry. So characters. We need characters. That's an awesome setting, but characters, like what type of interesting characters would you have? What main characters would you have? What, you know?
Let's see, you've got one character who's been living in a life of crime because of family tradition. One because he was forced to live in the streets and worked his way out to become a leader of his own organized crime. And another because and another being an immigrant who cheated his way into organized crime.
All right.
And of course, you got let's not forget the mayor who we're supposed to take down, who is supposed to be the goody two shoes, who's trying to abolish crime in his city, which, by the way, the setting is a fictional city.
What is it based on? Like Detroit, New York?
Let's see. Trying to think of a city that hasn't been covered in any of the GTA games yet. Was Detroit already been picked?
Nope.
In one of the. All right, then Detroit it is.
All right. Okay.
Fictional city inspired by Detroit. That is what I'm saying.
So it would be like a manufacturing city, like a lot of manufacturing stuff like that.
Yep.
All right.
And the objective of your main character is the tasks for your main character is like getting through these heaths, stealing one vehicle to 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 win the trust of those organized crimes to join you.
So you basically, you're basically having to complete tasks in order to get people to trust you, so that you can take over by either betraying someone or getting into their trust and becoming a member, like legitimately taking over their organization, or by getting close to take them out, so that you're now the total head by taking care of all competitors. Wow, that sounds kind of badass, actually.
And the radio station, it's rock and pop music.
All right. I'm down with that.
Isn't that? I believe that's all the questions you have.
There's one left. There's let's see. We did story, setting, characters, music. Oh no, that's all of it. I guess it's your turn, Joel.
Well, this is going to be a tricky. I mean, I know there's been one in New York, right?
Yeah. There's been one in New York,
which is GTA 4.
Well, GTA 3 and GTA 4, like most of them actually have been set in
New York.
Yeah, in New York, which I mean.
I'm actually tempted to try something international, like Australia or China at least. Not own places, probably somewhere that's a little city-like, yet not.
I'm all like China. Okay. So that's your setting, kind of China. So this sounds cool, by the way. China sounds like a cool place to have it. Anything else?
Because if anything, that would be. I said that we kind of China, or because I want to try to get a different street feel of sorts, instead of being in the U.S., being another country.
All right.
And with the character, I was thinking that you're new in town and you're trying to make a name for yourself, which is probably basically it. But when you get hijacked of, in a sense, and then left on the streets, well, you gotta start something.
All right.
I think Jules breaking up.
Yeah, you broke up, so we could barely hear what you said. Could you repeat that?
I hate when that happens. I was saying that it could be kind of Australia in a not so or Australia way, because I wanted to get an international with the next GTA game. Got that?
So it would basically be more of an international GTA game. Okay, that's cool. So I guess the music would be more European, international than like what we have in America.
Yeah, at least a little sample of each nation in the radio broadcasting, and some.
All right.
And for the character, as I said, I was thinking that this guy is trying to himself or herself, depending on who you are, and that's right after getting off the airport somewhere, and might as well try to work your way back up in the way that you want, be it fairly or other means.
That's fair. I like that. So you would be a straight up criminal. You wouldn't be like kind of a hero sort of. You'd just be a straight up criminal.
That you just started your new life in a new country, and that like by locals and some you probably want to try to get your way back on your feet, be it legal or illegal manners.
Okay, that's fair. That is actually fair.
Awkward quiet.
Okay,
I was waiting to know if I missed anything.
No, you got the settings down perfectly, and the character, the music. So you're an immigrant.
International flavor to try to see where everything goes, and a little bit of humor radio.
All right, I like it. Anything else?
Well, I think this is one thing that actually makes it that you probably felt in a GTA game. Most basically is empty as fudge.
I never felt GTA games were empty. I know that's
the buildings are empty as fudge.
Well, yeah, because there's certain buildings you can go inside of and certain buildings you can't go inside of, so it's kind of like awkward, but
yeah, it makes sense that I feel it's a little empty when you're looking inside. But then again, it at least helps you from not going into every little building and trying to see what's inside. Then again, I think I came off with a case of the wild syndrome there.
fair enough. So I guess you've adequately met the requirements for the thing. I guess it's my turn now.
So what's your story, Mr. Rockpop?
Yeah, you hit all four things. So I guess I'll go with setting first. GTA games are, fairly speaking, the best GTA games, in my opinion, have always been ones that were parodies of pop culture of a certain time period. So GTA 1 was set in the 50s, GTA 2 was set in the 60s, GTA 3 was set in the early to mid 90s. GTA
Vice City was a parody of the 80s.
Was the 80s. Yeah, Vice City was the 80s, the early 80s.
And San Andreas is the 90s, right?
Yeah, San Andreas is late 80s, early 90s. As a matter of fact, San Andreas is a prequel to GTA 3, believe it or not. And GTA 4 is set in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, and GTA 5 is set now. But there's a period that's mysteriously missing in the GTA times that they've parodied.
And is it the 70s?
Yes, the 70s. So my setting would be
I was going to say disco radio, here we come.
Yeah, this would be a GTA set in the 70s, and it would be a GTA that, like, GTA, in my opinion, is at its best when it's a send-up of something that's pop culture. So, like, Vice City is a send-up of the 80s, Tony Soprano and, not Tony Soprano, Tony Montana from Scarface and Miami Vice. GTA San Andreas is the gangster rap scene from back in the day. Even Bully, which isn't a GTA, is a send-up of those kid empowerment films from back in the day, like Home Alone and toy soldiers, stuff like that. So basically, my GTA would be set in the 70s, and a city that hasn't been done yet. They've done Miami, which was Vice City. They've done San Andreas twice, with San Andreas and GTA 5. They've done Liberty City at this point 3 times if you include the expansions. But here's a city, well, kind of a city, a region that would let you do 3 entirely different areas. Do the nation's capital version of the GTA universe, because they have different names for everything. So you could have you could have the nation's capital itself, and then the areas outside of the nation's capital. And the game would basically be a send-up of 70s exploitation films. So like it would be a send-up of 70s blaxploitation films. So like Shaft and Coffee Brown and stuff like that. And it would be a send-up of Chinese exploitation films. So like your Kung Fu Chopsaki films, and even your Japanese exploitation films. So like The Street Fighter with Ken Tanabe. Actually, that's not his name. I forgot the guy's name. I'm sorry, but I'll look it up because I don't want to get his name wrong.
What about mafia films in the 70s, like The Godfather?
Well, The Godfather's not a exploitation film. It had a budget behind it. I'm going for where it's kind of cheesy. There's like really nothing cheesy about The Godfather. Although we could add some Godfather to it.
All right.
Yeah. It stars Sonny Chiba. That's his name. Sonny Chiba. So yeah, I could totally see that. I could totally see a GTA set like based on exploitation films set in the 70s, where and here's where I get into the characters. That was the setting in the nation's capital. The characters are I like GTA 5. The idea of having 3 different playable main characters that play differently and have their own things going on, and they wind up joining forces. That's actually a really neat idea, and I think that we could up the ante on that one by doing this. What if, and I'm gonna do real diversity. All 3 main characters are people of color in the DMV. Okay, so you have a vet from Vietnam who's coming home and finds out that his sister is strung out on heroin and crack, and she's a prostitute. And when he left, she was fine, but now she's all jacked up. As a matter of fact, his whole neighborhood is jacked up. And so his big thing is, I have to find out who's been putting these drugs in our streets. And he goes up the chain, and he finds out that someone close to him has betrayed him and helped get his sister hooked on this stuff. Not out of any I was strung out and I got her hooked too. It's like this was done out of malice and revenge. And that's kind of like his impetus to take out these drug gangs and stuff like that. And then you have, let's say, a Chinese gentleman who's a member of the Triad, but he's like, I want to make my family legit now because I can see where the future is going, and we need to take our illegal businesses and make them legit now. But there are people in his own family who won't let him do that, and so he's Chinese. That's his big thing. He's a Triad. He's Chinese, and you can have a female protagonist, something we haven't had in the GTA game ever, I don't think. A female protagonist who is in fact, she's Japanese American. Her mother is Japanese. Her father is, you could say he's a senator. Her mother is, her mother left that life, but on her mother's side of the family, they're old school Japanese yakuza. So all these people are in some way, shape, or form connected to crime, but they're trying to go on the straight and narrow. But every time they try to get out, they get pulled back in.
They get pulled in somehow.
Yeah, they get pulled back in. So like the Japanese chick, her big thing is more of like a political thriller where like she basically does the business portion of her mom's business, but then her mom passes away and she discovers her mom was basically a daughter of the Yakuza. And so now she's got to navigate the fact that people are blackmailing her father for doing something and she doesn't quite know what it is. And then like there's all this type of stuff going on, and all of them eventually find out that there's a central mastermind behind all of this, and they've got to pull their resources to take out this person. While you have the typical GTA tropes like buying property, I'm adding the RPG elements from GTA San Andreas. So you eat food, you can get fat. So you can get fat. You can change your hairdo. Of course, our main character, who's the black guy from Vet, he's gonna start out with an afro because it's the '70s. He's got to have an afro with a fist pick in it to make it extra authentic. This would be my GTA. It would. So you'd have, and for bonus missions you'd have, since this is based on exploitation, and you can't have the GTA formula move backwards. You have to have it move forward. So I would essentially have you would assemble crews. Each character would assemble their own crews that would basically, you could call up to help you out, kind of like homies in Saints Row. But they'd probably have better AI because the homies in Saints Row were dumb as shit. It's like, I'm trying to sneak through here. Let me shoot at the police. Like that type of thing. Basically, yeah. You can recruit various homies and do like loyalty missions with them. Except they wouldn't be called homies in this. They'd be called crew. And like maybe the black guy can recruit. Like in this universe, there's a Bruce Lee analog, but he didn't actually die. He switched with a guy who looked like him because he wanted to not have to keep himself pure, and like the media was too much and stuff like that. So he switches with another guy who basically takes all his fame. It defames his name. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my life back together, and I'm gonna kill that guy because he took away everything that I stand for. And so you could have a mission where it's like an Enter the Dragon type thing where you have to fight in this kung fu martial arts tournament with the quote unquote real Bruce Lee. Like I thought that would be a cool mission. Stuff like that. Each character would have their own like little special abilities and stuff like that. I was thinking like maybe the vet is really good at weapons. The triad guy is really good at using like melee weapons. The vet's good with guns, and the Japanese chick might not be good at fighting initially, like hand-to-hand combat, but maybe later on in the game she can learn her mother's side ancestral martial art, so she gets really good at it. That's like a personal mission. Maybe they can have their own like little sets of specialties in different categories. So like the Chinese dude is good with bladed weapons. His civic ability might be that he can like take criminal enterprises and make them legit. I don't know, stuff like that. But yeah, those are the characters. The music, obviously. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's the '70s, so we're gonna have disco. We're gonna have easy listening rock. We're gonna have Boz Skaggs, and like rock when all the rock stars had long mustache, had long hair and porn stashes.
That will probably have the Villagers, ABBA, BG.
Yeah, the Village People, ABBA. We're gonna have it's gonna be that type of music station. And since it's set in the nation's capital, I know they had good music back then. because I had relatives who were live back then, and I've heard that I know they had good music. So you'd have great music. You could have enough sci-fi elements, like you could have really fast Corvettes and stuff like that, or the analog in the GTA universe, that type of thing. I think that would be awesome. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that would be awesome. That would be my ultimate GTA right there. That would be it.
And one important question: will there be Bigfoot?
Maybe if you go into the I'm thinking one of the missions for the black guy in the game would be because the GTA formula is your characters get a little bit of prestige and then it gets all taken away. You start from scratch all over again and you're moved to another place and the game changes. So that's basically, I'm thinking for the black guy, he gets kind of taken out of his element and dropped in the sticks in Virginia, or they're analog for Virginia, where it's like rednecks, and maybe in that area, like the countryside, there's Bigfoot. I thought that would be a nice little Bigfoot there, and aliens maybe in Maryland. I don't know, something like that. Because it would basically, you'd have, it'd basically be an analog for the DMV. So you'd have DC, the nation's capital, and then you'd have maybe you could add Baltimore, because I mean San Andreas was cool because it basically had five cities in it. And they weren't ultra populated, but that was still pretty cool. So yeah, and in this one you can steal a train. Heck, not only can you steal a train, you can steal the subway too. Matter of fact, in this one you can steal a metro bus and start getting fares. Like, I don't know what bonus you get for getting enough fares, but I thought it would be a cool thing. Break yourself, fool! Get out this metro bus! No! Now I'm doing your job for money. I thought that would be a nice little touch. But yeah, that's my ultimate GTA game. Let's get some of these questions, and then we'll wrap things up. We have a whole bunch of stuff from Falcon Launch. I'm not gonna talk about the stuff about that crazy dude. 8Ball 1970 says Super Mario Odyssey is going to overshadow the triple Xbox. Yes, it is. Yes.
It's a pretty big duh.
Yeah. I mean, if let me put it this way. I've kind of said this joke before, but if Mario was in the Mafia, he would take the triple Xbox's Master Chief out back, and he and his brother would basically bust his knee with a pipe wrench.
Ow!
Let me show you what we do downtown in the Mushroom Kingdom, bitch. Wow! We bust your knee with a pipe wrench. Considering how hardcore Mario is, he's no longer a plumber. We can call him Nintendo's leg breaker because that's what he does.
That's a good one.
Yeah, he's Nintendo's leg breaker. Like that dude who broke the Odyssey Street date, man. They're gonna send Mario out there, and he's gonna bring his hammer, and we'll see what will be. Falcon Launch says, I'm not surprised about the Activision stuff. Hearthstone's matchmaking is already suspect. I don't play Hearthstone, but I can understand that. Trinell83 says Sony screwed up the Vita. You're right. Trinell also
once again completely obvious.
Yeah, Trinell also says if we're talking handheld, Nintendo still holds championship belt since they entered the market. Yeah, they're like an eternally in their prime Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? Like eternally in their prime Muhammad Ali, top tier boxer of all time, like one of the top tier boxers of all time. And all the challengers are just like, man, sit your ass down because you're not gonna win. It's Muhammad Ali in their prime, but forever. And they retire the champ. Like, what are you gonna do?
They kept themselves well conditioned.
What, you're gonna be like Chuck Wapner? I went 14 rounds with Muhammad Ali, and it was 14 rounds of him beating my face. And I'm okay. No, you ain't, man. Sit your ass down.
You're destroyed.
Yeah, sit your ass down. That's what you need to do. The Vita would have been serviceable if Sony allowed SD cards and actually supported it with games. This is from Area 73. Yeah, the Vita would have been good had it added SD cards and actually supported it with games. And like, first of all, when it first released, it was too damn expensive. And like, even when the price of the actual unit went down, those memory cards were ridiculously expensive. They were like, we're trying to combat piracy. Look, people pirate the shit out of the DS and the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy.
Pirates are hard to stop.
And the 3DS. But here's how Nintendo combated piracy. They went after the people who were pirating, who were releasing those R4 cartridges that let people download ROMs and play the ROMs, so that people weren't buying games. What Sony did is that they made it so fucking expensive to own a Vita that it wasn't worth it, and that's why the Vita failed. Because they, instead of punishing the people who were pirating games, they punished people who just wanted to play games, period. And so, yep, Vita failed.
Yeah, one of the stupidest things to ever do, alongside Reliance.
Yeah. Area 73 says Dark Cloud was okay, but it was no Zelda killer. Yeah, that's the thing. Dark Cloud, like, okay, if you compare Dark Cloud to what was the Zelda of the 6th gen, Wind Waker or Twilight Princess, of course it's going to get its ass kicked. But if you look at it as just a really nice, a nice little roguelike third-person labyrinth RPG, it's actually pretty fun. And plus it has that whole, basically, to me, Dark Cloud is the next gen ActRaiser. Like, that's basically what it is. It's a next gen ActRaiser. So, like, because you would unlock the Alchemist spheres, and you would basically unlock bits and pieces of the town or city you were in, and you would basically use that in order to rebuild civilization. It was actually a really cool game. And, I mean, if only Sony hadn't marketed it as being the Zelda killer, it probably would have done better. 8-Balls 1970 says, I think the reason Sony went with the highly questionable, those questionable, highly priced proprietary memory cards was to prevent piracy. But that's the thing. Like, successful products are going to have piracy. That's just one of the that's just, you know, that's just the way it is. If your margins are so thin that people stealing 2 or 3% is causing you to lose money, your business model sucks.
But isn't that also the reason why Nintendo's the GameCube discs are so small, is to prevent piracy?
Well, yeah, it was to prevent piracy. But I mean, the thing is like, okay, look, some of the most difficult to pirate games did not sell that well. Okay, very few hard to pirate games sell well. Maybe MMOs, but that's it. Okay, like, generally speaking, things that are insanely popular get pirated. That's just the way it is.
All right.
I mean, that's just, I'm sorry. Like, and if your margins as a business are so thin that because here's the thing, it's built, when you open a business that sells a product, especially a product, like you open a store or something, you build into your profit and loss statement, you're gonna have a certain amount of shit get stolen per year. And if your margins are so thin that, like, that 2, 3, 4, 5% of what's getting stolen is eating into your profit enough that you're losing money, there's something going on more than just people stealing shit, you know, because your business model sucks. And so when people are like, man, we're like all these companies, we're going with de novo. Why? Because, like, this shit makes it hard for people who buy the shit legitimately. But that's just me. So yeah, Aries 73 says, I mean, it was trying to be a combination of Zelda and ActRaiser. Yeah, I already said that. Yeah, basically, yeah. ActRaiser, Dark Cloud is basically a modern day ActRaiser. Sony trying to throw shade at Zelda, yeah, that's what killed it. And someone says here they would like a GTA game based in Seoul with Shadowrun elements in an isometrical view, and that's 8-Ball 1970. What do you guys think about that?
That sounds interesting, though. Might need more information.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good too. I wouldn't want it to be an 8 isometric view. Like if you're gonna give me a GTA game-esque game with set in Seoul with a Shadowrun element, like I would want it to be straight up like either first or third person. Actually, third person. Yeah, third person probably be better. Hell, if they made a GTA-esque game set in the Shadowrun universe, that'd be great. That'd be fun as hell, because then you could go inside all types of buildings. You'd have levels and karma and stats, and you could build your own character. That'd be friggin' awesome. Hell, I might do a video about that. That sounds cool. And Ari73 says maybe a GTA in Russia since there's mad crime there now. Yeah, well, their own president is a fucking criminal. Vladimir Putin, as I call him. Comrade. I remember that dude was a piece of shit when George W. Bush was president. He's like, I looked into his eyes and I saw his soul. Like, what were you two doing? Making out? Shit. But yeah, and they attacked the Republic of Georgia and literally just took like a third of the country. I was like, what this isn't the 1900s. It's the 21st century, bitch. We don't do that shit anymore. But apparently not in Russia. In Russia, bear eats you. In Russia, whole eats you. Yeah, Russia is the one place where I would never want to go because Russia is off the chain. Russia is a place
all kinds of effed up.
Yeah, Russia is jacked. Like, it is a shithole to live in. Like,
even after the fall of the Soviet Union.
Well, it was kind of good after the fall, but then like old habits are hard to break. You have people who thought that was a good time, forgetting that the Soviet Union was a facade. It was like they would show this public face. We're doing fine, but people were starving. People would line up to get in line to buy pantyhose. They didn't even know they were pantyhose. It's just people had a surplus of pantyhose and they would sell them because there was nothing they could do with fake money that they couldn't use to buy anything else. I mean, it was literally just a big facade. We're doing okay. No, you aren't. Stop.
It's
I'm not saying
kind of like how the baby boomers are feeling nostalgia for the 50s, where they think it was a much better decade, even though it wasn't.
Well, I won't go that far. Here's what I'll say. Some people are always. It's not pretty much baby boomers who do this. It's the fake people. It's the fake baby boomers who are like, man, the 50s were great. Now, as a black person in America, the 50s were not great. Or a person of color. If you were a person of color or a woman, the 50s were not great. Okay. The 60s were a little bit better. The 70s were a little bit better. The 80s were a little bit better. Like, as a person of color in America, I'm like, look, as times have gotten better.
Seriously?
Well, I've had people say that. They're like, yeah, we should go back to the 50s. Why? You mean where there was a colored fountain and a colored bathroom and a colored everything?
And usually their argument is that they want to relive the good parts of the 50s.
Well,
not
they
the bad
have
ones.
they have a nostalgic viewpoint on it. Or where we were going through the Cold War and everyone thought they were going to die in a nuclear annihilation. Yeah, I really want to go back to that. Yeah, that's great.
Tell me how.
Or unless you're one of those
when you're living in fear.
And that's unless you're one of those weird people who are pretty much nostalgic for the 19th or 18th century, the Victorian era.
No one can be nostalgic about that because everyone who says they're nostalgic about it weren't alive during it. No. I love the 50s. Oh, you mean where people said, if there was a nuclear holocaust, you'd be safe if you hid under your desk? Yeah, a desk made out of wood is going to save me from a fireball of nuclear annihilation. Yeah, I feel so safe hiding under this desk.
and that safety system is still being practiced today.
Yeah, some people, look, listen. Just no. No. I'm not going back to the 50s. I'm not going back to the 50s where people would get lynched and no one went to jail. Matter of fact, the people who investigated it or didn't investigate it, or half the time, some of the people who did the fucking lynching. Sorry. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah.
Question?
There are no other questions. So, anything anyone else wants to say before we wrap things up? Anything?
Well, I forgot to mention this video I posted it from the main page of our BS Busters. Strategy Productions posted a video about the problems with open world games in a nutshell, and I thought it was appropriate enough for our ultimate GTA game. I was thinking perhaps our idea of an ultimate GTA game will have to be a much smaller open world than other GTA games, so that way there will be more content.
More stuff to do. Yeah. You know, normally I would agree with you, except for, in my opinion, the best GTA game of all time, San Andreas, was literally bigger than every other GTA game that's come out since. Like, it's bigger than GTA 4. It's bigger than GTA 5. And yet it didn't, and it had a lot of stuff to do. Like, you could buy property, you could learn to fly, you could own, you could learn how to drive. Like, you could go to various driving schools for different types of vehicles. You could, you had the gang wars, you had the various side missions, you had the burglary missions, you had the SWAT missions, you had the hitman mission. Like, there was a lot of stuff to do in these games, and I understand where that video is coming from, where it's like, well, it's just too large. I think in terms of open world, I think the franchise that would do well to really follow that mantra and make a smaller game with more stuff in it would be Bethesda.
That's because of Morrowind.
Well, not just that, their Elder Scrolls games, if they were smaller, would be better because they'd be less bug ridden. But there'd be more stuff to do. Even though it would be less bug ridden with more stuff to do, I think. Dragon Sword, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I watched it. You did mention open worlds have kind of become samey. I do think that there should at least be interesting, maybe side stories that would add to maybe the variety, and just. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Okay. I mean, I don't mean for this to bleed over, but wouldn't it, seeing how broken GTA 5 was and how kind of shitty Fallout 4 was, wouldn't it make more sense for Bethesda to first of all get a new engine that's more flexible for stuff that you can do with it? First of all, get a new engine, and
I wouldn't be surprised if they use that same engine one.
Well, they've been using the same engine for years, but I'm just saying, perfect world, get a new engine, and in order to make sure it works, maybe I wouldn't mind them doing this for $39.99. They release a smaller game that leads into the bigger game. Like, maybe say it takes place on an island, right? Maybe the island has 3 or 4 major cities, maybe 2 or 3 towns, and little side things. But what you do, the character that you make, the things that you do on that island, you can, when the main game comes out, the $60 game with the season pass and all that stuff, you can, the choices that you made on that island affect the overall game of, the main game. And you can bring the character over and your items and stuff. So then it gives them time to do whatever. It makes them a little bit of money. They get used to using a new engine. Because it's a smaller game, they can be more, it's more polished, I don't know if that would ever happen because
that means that
Bethesda, and that would take effort. I don't like that.
I was about
Effort
to
is a
say,
dirty word.
Bethesda and effort. Those two go oil.
Yeah, effort is a dirty word for Bethesda. It's like, effort? Man, don't be asking me about no damn effort. I don't want no damn effort. Get out of my face with that BS. Effort. Must be crazy.
Ooh, some Splatoon related news. There's a hidden Easter egg, apparently, that no one has found yet.
Which level?
Is Salmon Run.
Oh.
Although according to the tweet, it says, I guess you could say it's SP. I don't know. I'm trying to find out what that stands for. I'll link the article here in the group chat box.
All right.
All right.
Okay. That sounds cool. I like it. I like where they're going with that. I like that.
And so far, everyone's looking towards the ground, and no one has found it yet.
I mean, I'm going to keep it real. I do like while I am a fan of those games, I just like I like Splatoon, but I don't know.
It's Meme City.
No, not just that. It's like I'm not gonna be able to play it for a while because
Oh yeah, Super Mario Odyssey.
yeah, and then after that there's
Xenoblade.
I mean, it's like, look, man, I love you, Splatoon, but I'm gonna have to put you down for a while because my babies are coming home, and I like you, but my babies, I can't.
Oh yeah.
It's trying to pick your favorite pizza.
Well, it's like someone saying which of my dogs were my favorite. All my dogs I love equally, but the one that I have right now is the one that I'm like, because she's alive. My other dogs passed away, so.
As I say, it's kind of like trying to pick your favorite. It's hard.
Okay. And continuing on the subject of Splatoon 2, Vampires won, which means time for me to celebrate.
Yeah, that's how it used to be back in the day. Like sometimes you would here's how some of the Splatfests were in the first Splatoon. Sometimes you would be so sure that the side you on was getting your ass kicked because all the fights you were in, like you'd have shitty teammates or something, and then it would come out later on that like your side won because there was like maybe like you had some really super people were playing on another level. So
I was on a losing streak. Well, during Splatfest, I assumed that we were going to lose, but then I was shocked that Team Vampire won all three categories.
Yeah, you probably had some really determined werewolf people you were playing against because sometimes that stuff gets heated, but yeah, I mean
And I was using the roller because Geo will use the rogue roller Dan. See, Jewel knows what I'm talking about.
But
sorry, Jewel.
But anyway, yeah. And
I think that's about it.
On top of Mario Odyssey and Xenoblade, I might. This is a big might. I might get a SNES Classic, even though I was like, I'm not gonna get one for one game. I might get it just because I want to be able to do all types of insane things. Maybe if I feel like it.
Oh, and as it turns out, ARMS now has its own Akuma.
Really?
Called Spring
Moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I was asking.
This character only appears on the Grand Prix mode, and the only way to fight him is to have a win streak on the first 9 matches. 2 zeros.
All right.
Oh, that.
Oh God, Sega, stop. Sega, just stop. Now, see, here's something I want to say to Nintendo. Nintendo, I'm looking at people modding characters into Breath of the Wild. And I saw someone mod in CJ from San Andreas. I just saw someone mod in One Punch Man from One Punch Man, Saitama from One Punch Man.
Yeah.
Why don't you add some of that? Add the ability to mod in characters into Breath of the Wild, because that would be cool. That would.
Oh, no. That would be a mess.
And I've seen a mod image of replacing the horses with Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, okay, that's just creepy, but modding in One Punch Man is just hilarious. Maybe modding his broken ass fighting ability. Just one shot everybody. I'm a guardian guy. Ah! You can't do that. He's Saitama. He can do whatever he wants. He's One Punch Man.
Probably be too broken.
Yeah, but it would fit the character because he defeats all enemies with one punch.
True.
All this modding is only possible.
As I said, that would be more broken in any game.
That's the whole point. He defeats enemies with one punch, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
One punch.
I think that would be an extra for complete, but that would be a little too much, wouldn't it?
Well, One Punch Man just one punching every. Well, I mean, it makes sense if he's that character. Yeah.
I was saying that having something like that in the game, and have it only accessible if you 100%. I think that would at least be a reasonable gift.
I guess, but I mean, I'm just, if you're trying to be true to the character, you have to make it like from the start. He's One Punch Man. I mean, that's the whole point. That's what's so hilarious about One Punch Man is that everyone thinks he's a joke, but it turns out that, like, technically speaking, the reason the World Hero Association exists is because of him. Before he became One Punch Man, and he's technically, like, everyone's like, you're a C-class hero, you're a B-class hero. He's technically the most powerful hero on planet Earth. But he does this shit as a hobby. That's hilarious. Like this dude who was just wrecking, like ramen. No, not Ramen Man. The guy who's the delivery man. That's his special. Like he rides a bike. Like he's getting wrecked by this dude. Everyone's like, oh, this is terrible. And like he's wrecked all these other heroes, and One Punch Man just walks up to him and he punches him so hard that the rain that's around he dispels the rain around the dude. It's like, the dude just sits there. He's dead. He's got a hole punched in him. He's like, well, I effed with the wrong dude. I'm dead. It's over. And they're doing season 2. I'm gonna lose my shit. That's what they need to do. Forget Link. Bring One Punch Man. Look, I think One Punch Man even breaks the rules of the Master Sword. That's cool. You need a sword.
I think
that's cute.
Ooh.
I was going to say, I have a way to make him at least a little more fair. Does recharge time be lengthy as fudge when you're doing one?
No. Because that's all he does. He just has that one punch. Like all of his special moves, consecutive one punch, serious one punch. Then they're really like he's insanely like you're missing the entire point. I'm saying
before
they just put him in the game. He just
I
one shot.
know, but I was that it's one punch before he doesn't give a f about the moment.
Yeah, that's the whole point. He's supposed to be like he's not supposed to care. Yeah.
He doesn't move for a while because he just said that he is enjoying was destroyed by one punch.
He's mad, because his whole thing. Like I remember seeing the what was it called? The placard description, the summary for One Punch Man, and I was like, that sounds lame because I hadn't seen it. I was like, no, that sounds stupid. An overpowered superhero is on a quest to find an enemy who can basically stand up to his punches. And I was like, that sounds stupid. And then I read the manga, not the original manga. Well, I also read the original manga, but it looked like garbage. I was like, I can't watch this. The jokes were funny, but I couldn't watch it. I couldn't read it. And then I saw the ones that were done by the Psychopass 100 guy, and I was like, dang, this is off the chain, son.
I only know, which I have to admit, there's some oddly funny moments.
I thought that would be hilarious. You throw Saitama into Hyrule. Like, Link's got to find all these heart pieces. He's got to get the Master Sword, all that stuff. One Punch Man's like, oh, so you're a giant pig. Pow! Shoot, even Ganon be like, you know what? I'm done. Bye. I'm done. I'm out. I give up. Done.
Man.
Like a Lionel. I'm a Lionel. Pow! I'm a Hinox. Pow! It'd be ridiculous. But that's neither here nor there. That was just my idea. I just thought that would be cool. It would be cool if Nintendo allowed mods for Breath of the Wild on consoles, either Wii U or Switch. I don't care, both.
I know Nintendo.
Yeah, they never do that. And if they did, it would only be on their hardware. It would never be on their software. I mean, it would never be like modders. They'd probably do something so that modders could use it. Like, you'd have to buy the game in order to do it. I mean, and Nintendo has allowed modding of their games. Like, I mean, shoot, Project M, anybody? And all those Mario hacks.
Mhm.
Those Kaizo Mario
I got it, Brian.
hacks. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I always get a giggle whenever somebody mentions Project M.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, Nintendo could have shut that down anytime they wanted, and they let it happen because they were like, you bought the game. Like, the way I see Nintendo, as long as you buy the game, they don't care what you do with it. Like, you bought the game, yeah, $60, okay, fuck it. They don't care. As long as they get their money, they're okay. They don't care what you do. Now, if you're like these people hacking the game and pirating it and playing it on an emulator, then F you. But I mean, would it be cool if Nintendo's like, hey, you bought Breath of the Wild? Okay, fine then. You want to play as CJ and Saitama, CJ, whoever? Go ahead, knock yourself out. Because from what I heard, it's really easy to mod characters into Breath of the Wild. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I heard. But that's neither here nor there. Anyone have anything else they want to promote before we wrap things up?
But there's not. Nintendo has made an explanation on how Star Fox 2 ended up on the SNES Classic Edition. And here's what they say according to the translation. Takao Shimizu planning and development. From the beginning, when we were thinking about what we would add to a hypothetical SNES Classic, one of the issues were the titles that utilized the Super FX chip, such as Star Fox and Yoshi's Island. Of course, we knew about Star Fox 2, and we were talking about adding those titles if we could emulate the Super FX chip. Kazuhiro Maruyama says, at the time, we didn't know if the emulator would work or not. Then Shimizu says, in the end, we wouldn't know unless we let NERD, aka which is the acronym for Nintendo European Research and Development, try their hand at it. So they tried to work it out on the side while developing the NES Classic. Something else that was crucial was that we found the completed data for Star Fox 2 that still existed, both Japanese and English. And Nishi said that was really important. And Shimizu says the source code still existed as well, so we thought we could finally work on it properly. Producer Shimada and the director of Star Fox 2, Iguchi, negotiated with Miyamoto and handed the data to Nerd. After that, the Super FX chip emulation started.
I don't know why people are acting like it's like emulation for the Super FX is something big. People have been able to emulate the Super FX chip through emulation since like '98.
When emulators were a thing.
Well, not well. I mean, they hit okay. For those of you who might be too young to know, two of the people here I know might be too young to know. It took about 10 years for NES emulation to reach perfection. From like the early, like 8-9 years. From like the early.
I know that took a long time for emulations to be near perfect as far as
for the NES. For the NES, it took about 8-9 years because it started around 91, 92 is when you first had the NES emulators, but they weren't perfect. They could play some games well, other games not so well because the NES, it was hit or miss. And then over time, it got better. And then they started trying to emulate the SNES around 96, 97. And it wasn't until 99, 2000 that you got like perfect emulation for the SNES. It took a while. It took a very long time.
I was going to say, perfect emulation would probably mean that they would actually have to include the possibility of certain things like the Super Scope.
Well, yeah. Perfect. Well, when I say perfect emulation, I mean that it's not 100% distinguishable from. There's virtually no difference to the average person between this and playing on the original thing, aside from like the controller and stuff like that. That's what I mean when I say virtual. Like, some of the early SNES emulators couldn't really play games well, no matter what you had. Like certain games they just wouldn't play, or they wouldn't play well, or there'd be stuff missing. But over time, like, because I remember it was like a big deal when they finally got good enough to play to emulate the FX chip in like 99, 2000. Because like you could finally play Star Fox on the emulator and Donkey Kong Country on the emulator, Yoshi's Island on the emulator, and Stunt Effects Racing, which is a shitty game by the way, on the emulator. I have the physical version of that game because it was made by the same team that made Donkey Kong Country. It's a shitty game. Sucks. Don't play it. It's garbage. And they still haven't made a perfect. No one has perfectly emulated the N64 or the GameCube yet. I haven't seen one. I haven't seen a perfectly emulated N64, although they're closer to an N64 perfect emulation than a GameCube perfect emulation. Because basically you have to have a damn good gaming PC in order to emulate a GameCube perfectly. I know everyone's like, well, Dolphin, all that. No. Don't believe it. Like that Run DMC song, don't believe the hype.
I mean, some people are saying that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is going to be on a PC sometime soon. I gotta laugh at that.
Well, I mean, okay, if you have an HDMI converter and you basically are hooking, like if you have one of those monitors that you can play your video game system, technically your system's being played on the PC, but I mean, no, not unless you're emulating. That's about it. That's the only way you're going to be able to play these games on PC. Although, Nintendo in the future, maybe in like 10 or 15 years, they might eventually pull a Nintendo Now, like PlayStation Now, where you can play their games on PC. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think they would do that, though. Nintendo likes to have control over their IP too much.
And I think it's time to wrap things up.
Yep. So anyone have anything to promote before we wrap things up? Dragon Sword, you can go first since you came in last.
I guess I'll say these next 2 weeks are gonna be a bit busy, so I might not pop here till then. So yeah.
Let me guess, you're getting Mario Odyssey 2, aren't you?
I did not get a Switch yet. I don't know when I'll get one.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But you're going to be doing other things. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, Jewel, you can go next. Jewel Rider Moonstar.
Okay, I almost missed you since you broke up on. Well, I got nothing really, but I am looking at the news is going about. So if something comes up, I'll let you guys know.
All right. And
Well,
finally, Pinky Don.
Well, I'm gonna go. I got other things to do after the podcast, such as finishing Fire Emblem Warriors before Friday, because Super Mario Odyssey will be out on that day, and watch some recorded episodes that I missed, including episode 4 of the Inhumans, which I missed two weeks ago because of the Splatfest.
All right. Okay. Okay, so I guess it's my turn. It's me, Mr. Red Fox. As you know, we have a Sci-Fi Power Hour and a BS Busters every week at 7. Next week's will be at 7:30 because I'm going out to dinner and I might not be able to get home at 7 o'clock, so it's been moved back to 7:30, but it will be at 7:30, hopefully, knock on wood. You'll know if otherwise. And next week's Sci-Fi Power Hour is going to delve into video games a little bit. I know earlier we said that video games based on movies suck, but we're going to talk about ones that don't suck. Video games based on IPs that don't suck, and we're actually going to talk about some IPs that video games could be made about them that would probably be pretty damn fun.
Okay. I'll see you around, but otherwise I'll see you next week.
Yeah, and of course BS Busters, obviously. Is that Halloween? No. Halloween is on a Tuesday. Thank God.
Yeah.
So yeah. I will, even though I will have Mario Odyssey next week, I will carve time out of my play schedule in order to do a BS Busters where I will talk about my initial feelings about the game and all that fun jazz. So yeah.
So we're gonna have a BS Busters Halloween edition on Tuesday?
Yes. We will have a Halloween edition, and we will talk about games that we consider to be scary. That's about it. Just games that we consider to be scary, and we'll give our impressions about Mario Odyssey. If we have it, if we don't, what we think about blah, 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 whatever. It's going to be Mario Odyssey and Halloween. There you go. So look forward to that. It's the 28th and the 29th, Saturday and Sunday. Sci-Fi Power Hour Saturday. BS Buster Sunday. You know the drill, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for BS Busters. And Sci-Fi Power, except next week's because I will be it's going to be moved back just 30 minutes from start time. So there you go. Good night. Peace. And
don't drink OJ.
Enjoy a good juice.
Yeah. Stay away from that bad orange juice.